Hey friends, welcome back to the Gubba Homestead. I'm Gubba, and today I'm going to be sharing a secret with you that Big Pharma does not want you to know about. Dandelions. I'm going to be sharing the medicinal properties of dandelions, why they want you to spray dandelions, what the effects of spraying dandelions are, and how I use dandelions around my homestead. These are such an amazing flower, so let's get into it. When you think about dandelions, at least when I was growing up, you think about dandelions, oh, they're a weed. You gotta go to Lowe's or to Home Depot and you gotta get the chemical Monsanto spray to kill them. So you spray something that is super toxic. I remember my neighbors would get all dressed up in like a ventilator. You can't get it on your skin. They'd use gloves and go spray dandelions. Think about how backwards that is for a second. You're spraying something super toxic into your yard to kill something because we have been trained to think that these are a weed, that they are ugly, when in reality, they are a necessary part of our ecosystem. Dandelions are one of the first foods for bees when they come out of winter. So winter is super stressful for them. They're barely hanging on. My hives all behind me, it is difficult to keep bees over winter. So when they come out, they need to go and eat. The trees haven't bloomed yet. Flowers haven't bloomed yet. But what has bloomed? Dandelions. These are some of the bees' first food. You can see behind me a field of dandelions for the bees. I leave all my land completely untouched. I have to be careful walking in here because the bees are foraging. So let's think about this for a moment. The bee populations are declining. Is it really a big mystery? When you are spraying one of their first foods when they come out of winter, you know, they just struggled, like I mentioned, they're coming out, they need food, but one, it's sprayed. They go land on a dandelion that's been sprayed with Monsanto chemicals. They take that back, the pesticide back to their hive. What's gonna happen? It's gonna kill them, it's gonna poison them, it's gonna weaken them, or you spray and kill the dandelion and then they don't have any food. Then what happens if they don't have any food? They die. So you have been trained to think of these beautiful flowers that are necessary for bees to survive. Huge part of them coming out of spring, welcoming them in. You have been trained to think that these are bad. You may live in an HOA where they want you to have just green grass because these are a weed. Move! It's crazy that a place would rather have you spray your yard with chemicals and pesticides that are toxic to inhale, toxic for your skin, toxic to your soil, than to have food for the bees. Another thing about dandelions, Big Pharma doesn't want you to know this. This is a medicine. The flower is a medicine. The leaves are a medicine. The dandelion root is a medicine. Each part of the dandelion has different health properties. A dandelion in its whole, from the flower down to the root, has all these vitamins, minerals, these liver supporting properties. It's a diuretic, so we are going to get into that. I have some personal health ailments that I am going to be using the dandelion to help aid in my healing process. Specifically, we are going to be making dandelion root tea. So in the dandelion root, there are sesquiterpene lactones. What those do is they help stimulate the bile production, which can help eliminate toxins and detoxify your liver. I have little white spots that are popping up in my fingernails. So your fingernails are a window into your health. When I was a teenager, I worked with someone who was into holistic medicine, specifically reflexology. And I remember her seeing my nails and her telling me, you need to detoxify your liver. You have something going on. That's what your white spots are trying to tell you. So that is what I am taking into account today. And I'm going to be making a dandelion root tea. While the dandelions are in bloom, I am going to take advantage of this. You can also preserve your dandelions through different methods like dehydrating. I might even try freeze drying some dandelions, see how that turns out, but I am going to definitely dry some out because I want to have dandelion, specifically dandelion root tea, year around because I do have an underlying either mineral deficiency, my liver needs to be detoxed, I have something going on, and I am going to try the dandelion root tea detox here on the Gubba Homestead. Don't spray your dandelions. As a general rule of thumb, if you are going to be making dandelion root tea, if you have dried dandelion roots, if you dried them out, you do 1 to 2 teaspoons of dried dandelion root per cup of water. I want 2 cups, and these are not dried. So Gubba, am going to double that. I'm going to do about 4 teaspoons of dandelion root to 2 cups of water that we will steep it in. I have just about that. These are relatively easy to dig up. One thing you can do if they are not is to just wet the area, let the moisture soak in, so then the ground is easier to dig in, or after it rains. Something that is really neat about dandelions too, they will be temperature dependent. So at night as it cools, the dandelion flower will close, and then in the morning it will still be closed, but as it starts to warm up, it will open back up. They aren't heterotropic where they follow the sun, but to me it's like they're taking on the sun, they're saying hi to the sun, they're feeding the bees. They are a huge part of our life. Because they are food for the bees, that is how they are part of our life, not only by giving us medicine, but also being that food, the bees then go pollinate other food for us, our fruits and everything. I know my bees have increased my yield in my garden, specifically my fruit trees as well, so I'm very grateful for them. I have about 4 teaspoons of dandelion root, so let me take you through the flower and the benefits of dandelion, and then we will wash these off.
All I used for this was a hand shovel to dig up the dandelions, and it was pretty easy. You can also use a weeding knife. I have found that these smaller tools are less intrusive and damaging to the soil. You could use a traditional shovel as well, but know that it will dig up your yard, maybe more than you wanted to. You will want to dig down and be careful not to snap off the root, as that can be easy to do. I have found that if you push the shovel in just to the side of the dandelion and dig down and then scoop up, you usually can get the whole plant, unless it is a ginormous dandelion with a large root system. Also, if you are wondering how I can be right by my bees and they don't bother me, it is because bees don't want to sting you or bother you. They will die if they sting you, so they will only do so if they are threatened. I am not a threat, but I can also read the room with my hives and know if they are being temperamental. That is generally only when I am doing hive checks or if they have honey stores in the later part of summer. I am fortunate enough to just have fields of dandelions on my property, and not only that, to have dandelions right by my bees so they don't have to travel far when they come out of winter and are seeking food. So let's break down the dandelion and its health benefits. First is the flower. It's so beautiful. If you want to collect the petals, just remove them like I am doing here, and try to not get any green, as the green is a bit bitter. They are useful for jellies and you can make teas. It really is a labor of love to make anything with the flower petals because they take forever to harvest one by one, and they are easier if you find bigger flowers like this one here, because you can grab the petal and pull it a bit easier and then put into whatever collection device you brought with you. The flowers contain antioxidants that can help protect your cells from oxidative damage, and it makes sense dandelions start blooming when the sun is coming back out because antioxidants help your skin not burn. The flowers are less common in use than the leaves and roots, but they can be used to make teas or infused with oils for skincare products. You can make simple syrups with dandelions, sugar, and water. Think of the flowers as more of pretty and the gift aspect. I love to put them in my lemonades because they make my lemonades look cute. The dandelion leaves are consumed more commonly than the flower. They are high in vitamin A and can help support healthy vision and have a significant amount of vitamin C in them, which will support your immune system and collagen production. The leaves also have calcium and potassium in them for heart health and for regulating blood pressure. That potassium and the sesquiterpene lactones that you find in dandelions make the dandelion a diuretic, which increases the urine production by the kidneys. This can help flush out excess water and toxins from your body, which is really great if you are trying to reduce your water retention if you're bloated. The leaves are also loaded with antioxidants like beta carotene and polyphenols, so they help defend against free radical damage. You can eat these as a salad, you can cook them with oil and garlic, you can blend them into smoothies, you can turn them into pesto by substituting the basil in the pesto recipe for dandelion leaves. Think of the leaves as more of the culinary aspect, but now to the roots, which is where the health magic happens, in my opinion. Dandelion roots contain sesquiterpene lactones, which can stimulate the liver and promote bile production, which helps remove waste from the liver. So it supports the liver and the gallbladder at the same time. It also has anti-inflammation properties. I feel like we are all inflamed from our toxic environments and high processed food diets, so it is good to have anti-inflammatory aspects of our diet. You know, these natural herbs that are found in our yard. You can use dandelion root like I do by making a simple tea, or you can even roast the roots to make a coffee-like drink. Yes, like dandelion coffee. You roast the root, you grind it and brew like you would coffee. It's caffeine-free and full of liver detoxifying properties. Dandelions really are neat and amazing with their health aspect. This is why Big Pharma does not want you to know about them. They are so powerful in all that they can do for you. Next, I washed off the roots of dirt and debris with my hydrant. This water comes from my well and was installed before I got here. You can have these installed around your property as well. You just need to dig down and install the parts. They come in handy for me to have water around the property with my garden and for animals. Next, I chopped up the roots into little pieces so there is more surface area for the beneficial compounds to seep out, and I poured boiling water over them to steep like I would a tea. I allowed to steep for 30 minutes. You can decide how long you want yours to steep for as well. I mean, even 10 minutes is good. I just had chores that I went around the house while it was steeping, and then I came back to it. Then I filtered to get out most of the debris in chunks. Here I used a cheesecloth to get out the finer particles and some petals. It still isn't crystal clear, but that is okay with me. You can do what works for you. I will add honey to this later to sweeten it up because dandelion root tea can taste bitter due to the presence of the sesquiterpene lactones, and that is why you will most likely want to sweeten it up with whatever sweetener that you would like to use for your tea.
I have let the dandelion flower petals and the roots steep for about 2 hours now. You don't have to let it steep that long if you don't want, but I'm now just going to filter into another mason jar. So there are fine little particles in here, probably a little bit of dirt, residue from the roots and the flowers, but I don't care about that. You could use a cheesecloth to get them all out. I guess I could do that to show you the little residues that it will get out if you use a cheesecloth. I really don't mind this. Even with my vegetables that come straight from the garden, I feel like there are elements in the soil that bring life to us. But I will filter through a cheesecloth just to show you. And it smells almost like carrots, and it even has a carrot flavor, a little bit bitter, and that bitterness will more come from the flower, especially if there's any green in there. Like I shared earlier, if there's any greens, the greens are a bit bitter, but still tastes good to me. I just put a little cheesecloth in the ring of this jar on. So now I'm just going to filter in. So the ring on the jar helps the cheesecloth stay in place, and the straining will go a little more slower just because the cheesecloth is finer than the mesh strainer that I used. So I'm just gonna filter through this and we will see what we catch. So this right now is going to be my liver detox, and hopefully it helps me clear up some of my mineral deficiencies. It will definitely help me see what is going on because this is so beneficial. They don't want you to know the power of dandelions, of what is right in your front yard and so accessible. They want you at the doctor's offices when you just need to be in your yard. But you can see that harvesting dandelions is a labor of love. So when I make the jellies, I peel off all those yellow flowers like we did earlier, and I collect a bunch of those, and then I steep it, make a tea like this, and turn it into a jelly. And it's a fun gift because who makes dandelion jelly? How cool is that? And it tastes like honey. If you don't want to drink this because it's too bitter, you can add a sweetener. I'll probably add in some honey. I might just like it bitter because I do like more bitter flavors. Add in some ice and just go outside and relax. But this is my medicinal drink. I hope that today was informative. You enjoyed spending the day with me as I enjoyed spending the day with you. Thank you for coming out to my homestead and being in the fields with me. I will see you guys next time. Don't do anything a Gubba wouldn't do. And now you know the big secret. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!